Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode, the final episode of The Penguin, where we will break down and give you our thoughts and discussions of the finale of this Penguin with something else. I am your host, Dana, and I am joined once again by Mr. Danny Martinez. How are you doing, sir?
Depressed.
Yeah, it was I would say the second saddest. It just kept getting sadder this whole season. And this was just Jesus. I don't know whether or not it's sadder than it is sadder, but would you say it's sadder than the last episode?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Even though the two brothers died, and we now know it's on purpose.
Yeah, because it more happens this episode. I think when it comes to the relationship with Oz and the mom and how the mom reacts, and we'll get to the ending at some point, and yeah, it's way sadder.
And it's so sad. But this was the finale. This was the last niblets. This is a direct connection to the Batman 2. As Matt Reeves even said, that this is how it ends up building into part two of the Batman. And it showed a lot of things without showing us characters. We technically got Batman, we got Catwoman return, technically, and it's, oh god, it's gonna be interesting. But let's kind of start from the beginning where we see the return of Rex. And, the conversation was basically she knew the whole time, or maybe not the whole time, but she knew when she found that flashlight in his pocket that he killed his brothers. The police came and said, they had to pry the door open. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't like, oops, this was pre you I make the argument for premeditated murder. We still don't know, but you can definitely make that argument for murder, even first degree.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Definitely.
so that conversation that she had with Rex is really interesting because she knew, and it answered a lot of questions in terms of whether or not they were feeding into each other's sickness. But we realized that she was all playing an act. And this was because of the conversation that she had with Rex. The initial conversation was they came to an agreement that it was going to kill him. And then she realized that she would use that psychopathic behavior in order to better herself in her life. But then I'm kind of wondering, do you feel that she's still at fault for that? And would it have been better off to kill him?
Um, I mean, of course, it would have been better off to kill him. I mean, but him being a child, in retrospect, it's still wrong. So as a mother, like him as her as a mother, I feel like she still couldn't bring herself to do that. She was still conflicted in doing it no matter what. So she said, "Well, if I can't lose my other son, my last son, then I might as well benefit out of it." So I think absolutely a lot of it's her fault for enabling it for her own sake as well. Whether it be, even if it wasn't for greed, if you want to make the argument that she didn't do it for greed, she definitely did it for her own sanity. So regardless, she did it for some sort of benefit, and she's still just as in as fault. If that makes sense.
That is true. Um, it was just really interesting to me because I feel that I don't know what she was looking to gain. Like, there's a lot of things that even as a kid, you promise, I'm going to take care of you, Ma. Like, that's boys say that all the time. That's why, women seem to gravitate towards the male son. But anyway, the kids, as they grow up, I'm going to make sure I take care of my mother. I'm going to get her a house. I'm going to get her this and that. My thing is that what made her think that he was actually capable of doing that? Because even Rex said it was like, yeah, maybe he can't do it. And if you look at where they're at now, even in episode 1, that never really came into fruition. And even if you look at the original Batman, he was still just an underling. And he would have stayed that way had his temper not got the best of him. So I was wondering at what moment she could have realized that this wasn't really going to happen. Because he was essentially, I don't want to use, well, he's an evil person. I'm going to say like a bum. He never strived, or even if he did, he never acted upon it until it was all happy accidents. If you really look at it, he never really took initiative on something. It wasn't like, I'm going to go and murder the son, and therefore I'm going to be in control. It was all just an accident where he came there for a conversation of, hey, can I get like a promotion? And the guy laughed at him. So it's interesting because it seems to me that they're in their own hell with each other. And we do see how that ends up ending, which is even more sad. But yeah. I just wondered about how that relationship, the whole thing with Rex. I thought in that moment we would have discovered how Penguin got his scars.
Yeah.
Because I thought that, okay, the drive and I can't kill him. Maybe I can scar him up a bit. Maybe beat him up, leave a mark. But we never really got that. And we never got, that whole physical transformation. We know that the limp, he was always kind of like basically born with that. But we don't know. He was a fresh looking face kid when he was a kid. So we still don't know where the scar came from. I just kind of wish we got that. So, what did you think? Did you think that well, we know that obviously he wasn't gonna die, but did you think that she would have continued with the go ahead and do it?
What do you mean with the mom?
With the mom with Rex?
No, just because I mean she's still a mother and she's still grieving, and she wouldn't want to lose another son regardless. And I think when she had that conversation with Rex, she kind of understood, not to excuse it, but she understood why he did it in the first place, because he wants her all to himself. She understood that. She just never thought it would go that far until it did. So, I mean, the whole thing with Rex also, or I should say the mom allowing him to do what he did, is I don't think she ever really believed he was capable of going that far, of being the top of the food chain pretty much. I think she knew that he was a bullshitter. He liked to talk, he liked to persuade, he liked to lie. And so I don't think she ever believed him, but he still had that motivation to prove her wrong. So, you know, Rex said, with the kind of person that he is, you can take a bet and hope for the best with him, with the skills that he has to make it in the business that Rex is in. So maybe you got it or you don't. Either way, I don't think the mom really cared as long as she got something out of it. So I think the mom never really believed him. I think she kind of just went with it because at least she was still getting something out of it.
Right. And we still don't know what happened to the father.
Yeah.
So my thing,
season 2,
season 2, it cleared up a lot of kind of stuff in terms of, I thought that she was trying to use Oz to replace her husband, which is why she gave in so much to him being needy. But then she gave that speech, he's so needy. I'm so sick of it. I tried to not pay it any attention, but all he does is just, basically come up and under my boob. So it's interesting that she never had a conversation with him, or at least we never saw it, that was like, hey, go find someone to play with. Leave me alone. I'm your mother, not your wife, essentially. You're constantly up under me. And there was a lot of things that, they kept from each other, even though in a way I felt like they both knew. So it was interesting kind of relationship. How it was basically all you could take from her, a facade. That was the plot twist right there I didn't see coming, was the fact that she always hated him. So that was fascinating and sad. But then it also cleared up, I don't know if you felt this way too. in that moment, I thought Julian had purpose. In that moment, I thought he was some kind of person who can manipulate you psychologically and get the memories out of you, because we kept hearing his voice throughout, because
Yeah.
this was when she was held captive by Sophia and him, and he was talking to her, and they was prying the information out, and that's how we got the flashback. So I thought that, no, maybe he actually does have purpose. That's his power, is
Mm-hmm.
using your own memory against you. And then maybe, I don't know, he can like put in memories that's not yours in
Uh,
you.
I wouldn't really go that far. I mean, I don't
No.
think they made that apparent, but I'm not saying it's not possible, because
Mhm.
he's a therapist. He could probably do hypnotherapy. He could probably do, a bunch of things or whatever. But that's exactly what I thought during that whole flashback scene, was like, oh, so this whole entire time, wasting all this time and bullshit energy trying to develop Julian as a character, this is the only thing he's useful for. And this is the only time he had his moment to shine, was when he finally like did something for Sophia worthwhile. So that's exactly what I thought. I was just like, oh, okay, this is what he's for. That's it. And that's it. And his time passed afterwards.
That is interesting. Yeah, and then also kind of just jumping back for a moment, I think that they really predicted the end by the beginning when she said, "I had the devil in my house."
Oh,
That's
yeah.
how she saw Oz.
Hmm.
And at the end, she got the house that he claimed. Remember, at the end, I'm gonna. In the beginning, was like, "I'm gonna get you this house, ma.
Get your
It's gonna be on
penthouse.
the east side, a
Yeah.
penthouse, ma." And then you look at where they're at. Was that
Mhm.
Marone's? Was that the club?
I don't. I'm not sure, actually. I didn't see the sign. I don't think so. I'm not sure.
Because I'm like, it looked spacious enough to be like a dance floor.
Hmm.
I don't know if it was something like a deal that was worked out
I
between
think that
him
would
and the
be
councilman.
a great story thing, is to just is to take is to change that former club into the new Iceberg Lounge, so it's like from the beginning of something, and now it's the beginning of something new.
Yeah, and then that's kind of why he was all dressed up like the penguin. But
Yeah.
yeah, so we'll get back to that. But I thought that was really interesting of how there's the devil in my house, and she's there. You can't escape him. She's always in that house, and you had that opportunity to kill him, and you didn't do it. And it was because of your own greed, in a way. She wanted something more and bigger. It's just, it takes a lot to be with someone who killed your babies. Oh my God. I don't it just felt like maybe there was a sickness that was underlining there too, because it's so hard to justify. I understand that's your kid, but to not even turn him in, maybe to kill him is harsh. Juvenile? Is there like an Arkham high, like a Arkham, what you call it? The thing, juvenile detention center?
Well, yeah,
Is
but
that,
I mean, you already know Batman's history. Like, Batman has put all these villains in Arkham 5 billion times, and they end up escaping. But maybe I think maybe she felt like just getting him arrested wasn't enough, because he's
Mhm.
so needy and he needs his mother. She felt like she felt like she couldn't escape him, because eventually he would get out, or try to get out, or ask for his mom all the time. So like she would never hear the end of it, even if he was in prison.
Right. So then kind of we just go forward to, Victor finally makes it. Takes all
Hmm.
darn day, but he's finally there. And he's there with the other members, the other gang members. It was like the brotherhood of gangsters that they had from the triage and the other one, the other grouplings. They're basically upset because they just came for the product. And they said, we're here for the product, not the penguin. We're not here to save him. We're here to. The product is completely obliviated. It's gone. So we have absolutely nothing there. There's nothing that we would want. But I find it very interesting. There's a lot of clues that I feel that they had in the beginning that played off in the end. So he does say, "Watch what you say, or you'll catch a bullet."
Hmm.
And that's when they punched him in the stomach, Victor. I think it was Link. Was it Link? I
Link.
believe who said that.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting because Link is the one, when you go back in the later part of the episode, he's the one who's like, he calls Victor to be like,
Yeah.
hey, let's double cross him. So watch what you say or you'll catch a bullet. And then what happened to Link?
He was helping him.
Mm, mm. So yeah. So that part was also interesting. Um, what was also, Sophia put everything together rather quickly. She is a very quick study. I guess when you're in Arkham, you just become very quick at studying the people. Um, and it was interesting that this was the moment when I truly believe that the mother would finally kill Oz. We know that he doesn't die because we know that he continues on, at least in Batman 2. But she finally, to me, was holding that all in for, you could argue, over 40 years. Because he's not a spring penguin. He's pretty up there. So how did you like that dynamic of basically how she turned? Or did she even turn? Was it just she just let them talk?
Yeah, I think she was kind of going with the flow. Sophia was going with the flow with all of it that was going on. I think she had this idea of maybe torturing Oswald a little bit. And I really don't think Sophia had any mind to kill the mother, because I think she understood that the mother, not only was the mother holding this stuff in for so long, but she was also suffering from these mental issues. So she she felt bad and she understood her role and everything. So she just wanted to make Penguin suffer. So I think she was just letting it all go with the flow, and it was kind of working out in her favor because oh my god, like Matt Reeves was right. Like the more you watch this episode, especially, the more you hate the Penguin more and more, because there's a scene where Sophia tells her little henchman to, like, get ready to chop off her little pinky, unless Oswald comes clean with killing his brothers and stuff, even though she's already established also that Sophia has said that the mom knows, but she just wants you to come clean regardless. And he still won't do it, even like with the mom being threatened and everything. And then he just blamed it on her mental issues and all this stuff. And he just denied and denied and denied. And then she finally, the mom just finally broke down and just like, I know, and I hate you for it and all this. So Sophia's like, oh, okay, this works. I'll let this happen. Just keep going, keep going. So it was an emotional moment for the both of them. It was almost like therapy. It was just like a sick version of therapy. Like it was just
With the
like
therapist right there.
with the therapist right there. It was some weird couples therapy, just airing out all that baggage. And then that mom with that release of that hatred, finally just stabbing him and letting it all go and stuff. So it was a really, really good moment, and Sophia was kind of just a spectator the whole time.
Yeah, it was very emotional and very tense. And then with the mother having the stroke, I thought they was gonna pull another
Mhm.
Moroni or Salvatore. Salvatore? It was Salvatore who died of a heart attack.
Salvatore. Yeah.
Salvatore. But she ended up with a stroke. And
Yeah.
all of that tension and all of that buildup and anger. And when it just finally, she had it in her all these years. Kind of reminded me when Bret Hart, remember when he had that stroke because of all of that anger he was pent up with. But yeah, no, that right there was prime acting. That was such good acting for her to, you know, have that emotion. And then when she saw the two dead sons right before,
Yeah.
that's when I was like, oh, she's gonna die now. She wants to die. But her punishment is that she didn't die. So I was kind of wondering, in a way, was that punishment for still enabling him? Because remember, that's what Greg said. You have to keep enabling him. You're going to have to be there and feed him in a way.
Mhm.
And then you had that analogy of the baby bird,
Which he
the
didn't,
baby bird
which
killing.
Oswald didn't get. He
I thought he got, but was like purposely
was playing
trying to not
stupid.
get.
Mm.
I'm going to play stupid, just like the whole thing with the finger. And
Yeah.
he's like, I don't know. So that
Yeah.
it really gave me that kind of feeling as well. Um, so yeah, that was superb acting. And then I thought she was gonna die when she saw the two dead brothers. I thought it was like, come with us, Ma. It's okay, just come.
Yeah.
But she ended up a vegetable, which was even sadder. Jesus, that's worse than death. Just in a constant vegetative state where she's just staring there. Um, yeah, and she finally let it out. She did say, "I already know what you did." She was trying to gaslight her the whole thing, the whole way through. You don't know what you're saying, Ma. I don't know, Ma. And she's like, "I hate you for what you did." And I felt that in her soul. So I hate you with an eight. Um, and she said, "I never stopped, and I never stopped hating you." So she held on to that hate. It wasn't like even moments of what we would have thought was like kind of moments of happiness. It was still all moments of hate. See, and even the dog agrees.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, I
She's
can't.
growling at me. She's not happy with the penguin.
Not happy with the penguin. She hates the penguin too." So yeah, no, it definitely gave me that kind of feel as well. See, he's angry too. He's ready to fight the penguin. So when she stabbed him, that was just a lovely release right there that
Yeah.
I love. Um, and she said, "I'm your mother," and then she said, "You're the devil."
Yeah.
So then I was wondering, what does that make her? If he's the devil and she's her mother, oof, they're kind of two peas in a pod in a way. That's terrible, absolutely terrible. So then we did get the whole kind of scene where it reveals that she is in a vegetative state, and that was a terrible hospital scene, just on like a technical level. On someone who's always in hospitals, that is not how you treat a
There
stroke
wasn't
victim.
yeah, there wasn't much going on in the hospital bed, and yeah. I've worked
You,
in the medical industry for a while too, and I was just like, that's all kinds of
it's like
not
one
right.
IV bed, and then that machine with the monitors, and nothing is like actually how it's supposed to
Yeah.
look. So they're all just like up and down. So I'm like, if they looked like that, that would not be good.
I'm willing to look past it. It's just a comic book show. Like
I
if
know.
we were
It's
watching
funny.
if we were watching ER or House or something or Scrubs, then that's a whole different thing to analyze. But like,
Scrubs get a
it is what
pass.
it is. Yeah,
Scrubs is comedy. No, I just been like, that was just hilarious for me. Just I like
yeah.
watching little hospital scenes of how wrong they get it. That was really cute.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, you kind of see that emotional breakdown again. And I really thought she was dead in that bed. I was like, oh, she's dead. And everything that he worked for and tried to build, she's dead.
Yeah.
And he never got to hear, "I'm proud of you." And I think that broke him more, the fact that even if she was dead, I think that broke him more than her being in a stroke, in a vegetative
I
state.
agree. I noticed that because that shows that was it Sophia who mentioned it? Like, yeah, it was Sophia who mentioned it because when Oswald was still willing to get her finger chopped off, Sophia had said, you're really willing to just keep lying. Like, you don't care about your
Mhm.
mom like you say you do. And this was a moment of that afterwards, that yes, he doesn't care about his mom's condition. He just cares about being his emotions validated, and his actions validated as well, to just I don't know, just be constantly acknowledged.
Right. No, I completely agree with that. And he doesn't, he just doesn't care. He doesn't care as long as it makes him feel better. As
Yeah,
long as he feels that he's kind of needed and important and he's like a man. He never
yeah,
became a man. His entire life is him just chasing what he thinks he is or what a man is. And you can argue that's why he kind of stunted him, because I'm just, my thing is that for someone who tries so hard to want the best and the better of everything, wouldn't that kind of give you a kind of initiative or a push to strive better than where we saw you in episode 1? Because again, you can argue everything was with happy chance. And she just happened to go that way. So I just, I'm not saying he would be the top level crime boss as it was. I'm just saying we met you as a driver and you've been doing this. This is not like you're 20 years old and this is your first job. You're like maybe mid 40s, could be 50s. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But yeah, so that's when, that whole situation happens, and it's really, horrifying and sad, and I wish he was just dead. And Victor, he doesn't know anything. And poor Victor is just like, there for Oz. And it just makes it extra sadder when you see what happens in the end. But he's always just been the most loyal. Granted, you could say the gaslighting. Yes, it was also threat of death. When we first met him, we thought he was going to die. And that happened. But we thought, in that moment he was going to die. And you can argue that everything he did was kind of under duress, but they had that speech, which we'll go back to later. So you could see in that hospital room, he really cared for the mother as well. And he cared about her. And you could see that he was sad when she had the stroke, or when they was told that. So yeah, that was really kind of interesting. And then also going back, what I loved was he gave him a speech that was like, he gave him the speech that I felt Oz wanted his mother to give him, which was basically, you gave them hope. So that was interesting. He said you gave them hope, and you gave people jobs. You got the power back on. You gave the people dignity. And it was in that moment that I thought Victor was now going to replace his mother going forward. I was wrong, but I initially thought that she was going to replace his mother. Was that any kind of feeling towards you?
Yeah, I felt the same way. Up until a point. I mean, if we want to start talking about that particular scene with them two talking by the water, then yeah. I felt that way the same way. Vic gave a really heartfelt speech, and it kind of felt like that he was, I guess, gonna be that family figure that kind of supports Oz and gives Oz that acknowledgement that he craves so much. Up until the moment in that speech where Vic says, "You're like family to me." And when he said that, for some reason it didn't ring with me the same way it should have. And the reason why was because I was thinking to myself, I was just like, this whole thing is about his mom, the penguin and his mom, and this is what happened to his mom, this is what happened to his family. I don't think the penguin wants any more attachments, because Vic was also saying, we've been through so much. I was there, or Penguin was also saying this too. Like, you've been with me through everything. I couldn't have done this without you. You know everything about me. You know everything with my mom and all that. And I was like, oh shit! Like, he does know all this stuff. This is like the Penguin's weakness. I think this is gonna be that moment, and I was right. And that's when Oz goes in for a little chokehold, and he kills Vic because he doesn't want any more attachments to make him weak.
Ugh, that was heartbreaking. We get more into that, but yeah, that was absolutely terrible and sad. But he felt so hopeful when he said it, which just made it even sadder.
You know what made it sadder? When he started choking him, and Vic was just like begging him to stop for some reason, and they're not very exclusively, like, they don't match exactly, but I felt the same way in this moment as I did when Tom Holland's Spider-Man was dying after the snap, and he was like, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. And he's like, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. And like that moment with him, and then he dusts away. Like, that was kind of how I felt with Vic right there. Was just like, oh no.
Oh, that was such a terrible thing. But yeah, the exact same emotion of, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. He didn't see it coming. And his body kept trying to heal itself. And Victor was like there was such a heartbreak in his voice. where like
Mm-hmm.
he didn't want to believe what was happening. So he was kind of fighting against that. And it was extra heartbreaking for that. But we'll get to that a little bit more. Sophia thinks that she's free now, according to her. So she goes to the gangs that were originally a part of Oz's gangs. It was like, look, you bring him to me, you can have all. Now that was interesting words that she said, because it was the words that she didn't say. You can have all of this. You can have the house. Now she didn't say what state the house would be in, but she did say you can have this entire estate if you bring it to me. And then that's when we got the phone call from Link, and I was like, "Oh, Victor's gonna double cross," because we
Mm-hmm.
had some crossings already with this. We had the stabation. We had Sophia already knew, so I was like, if Vic was to play that double cross card, it would work because you could see like, oh, you manipulated me. You threatened my life the entire time. You know, I was just there for something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that he would, because we just kind of know Penguin doesn't die. But I did feel that there could have been that double cross, where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna rebuild without you, and I have my own team now. Did you think that at any time? Because he took that phone call, and then we got that scene where they all met.
No, I kind of just felt like it was just going to be another moment of Oswald is put in a predicament. He's going to get lucky and escape somehow again, like for like the billionth time. I really just thought that's what it was. And in a sense, yes, and it was like, because Link betrayed Zhao, and then the Penguin benefits from it, and he held up Sophia, and that was their finally their moment to talk and drive, and I know we'll get to that, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's all I felt it was. And I felt like that was part of the I think, if I'm gonna criticize the show at all any way negatively, it's just it would probably just be that. It's just that, like, that was a running gag the entire series, was that the Penguin always found
Mm.
himself in trouble, and then he got lucky and escaped somehow, and that still even ended up that way in the last episode.
But could you argue that that is what happens to some people? I mean, we can make that huge argument that they just get really lucky and they get top positions when they don't deserve it.
uh
So I was just
yeah,
kind of wondering that that is what happens to some people,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So yeah, in a way, I get, in terms of drama, it doesn't add that much drama to it. But in terms of life ish, I guess that's what works. Eh, I hate it, but that's just how it works for some people. So then we got that scene that was really sets everything into motion, especially when it comes into part two, which
Hmm.
is when he goes to City Hall and he's all nice and dapper. And he goes to City Hall, and I'm like, what's going on? He walks into the courtroom, which you cannot do. By the way, you ever been to City Hall? Jury duty or anything in City Hall? Police is everywhere. You can't just do that. But he goes into the courtroom, and that's when he meets the councilman, who is the councilman who got the power turned back on after he was basically threatened by Penguin the first time. And they do a little quid pro quo. The scratch your back, I scratch my little situation. Whereas essentially, whereas let's frame everything on Sophia,
Hmm.
and I will gonna make you, basically he can run for anything that he wants to now. It's his pathway to anything higher. He can be um DA, he can be mayor, he can be whomever governor he decides to be, because let's make New York City better than what it is. Look at what I did with the power. We're getting Crown Heights back together, and that's considered the lower parts. It's the slums of New York City. So he has that pathway, which I think could end up continuing to part two, Batman, which we kind of
Hmm.
do see the link of when we get to, I think it's Bella Real, who is the mayor. Was she the mayor? Because remember in the first Batman, part one, when the city went to poop and we had that big
I
water.
think so. I can't remember.
Because I know that it's her. I know that that's the same woman, but I'm just
Hmm.
trying to make sure that her name was Bella Real. That
I
isn't any
can't
from any
remember
of
the
the
character.
comics. right? This Bella
Not
Real didn't ring any
not that I
bells
know of. No, not at all.
because I didn't think so either. I was like, I looked and just making sure. No, I don't come up with it. So, because I was just kind of like making sure that that's not like an actual comic book character, because we know Rex is a comic book character. Oh, yeah, she's the mayor of Gotham. I was right.
Okay.
She's the one who beat. Remember, there was the poster of Don Mitchell. She beat Don Mitchell. Remember, this is literally like you could argue maybe within the. We don't really have a timeline. We do know that it started immediately. It intersects. It's happening at the same
After the
time as
movie.
Batman Part One
Yeah.
because of the flood situation, and that's how Victor's
Mhm.
family was completely. So many water themes. Oh my god! And he's a penguin because I'm just now getting the water in the theme.
Hey, and
Oh,
the
they did
show, if you notice throughout the series, there's there's a couple of winter settings. There's a couple of times where it's snowing a little bit. So Matt Reeves had already mentioned that part two takes place in the wintertime. So it's leading
it.
immediately to that. And I'm really hoping, 'cause they haven't announced anything about villains yet, but I'm crossing my fingers. If you're doing a winter theme, you either have to do Calendar Man or Mr. Freeze. Like that's got to be something there.
I am so like in awe of what was created with this series that it's like, how do they fit in with Penguin? And yeah, you can have the water and the freeze and the thing, but it's like I'm so like I want to know what happens so much. What happens to Penguin that in a way I
Mhm.
don't want him to take a back seat.
I agree.
They did this so well. Well, I feel that they made he's definitely the villain now, but was considered a side character, not even a side character, someone you just really didn't pay attention to. Because wasn't even in that many scenes. He's maybe the equal of being the Batman. You
Well, in
rose him up to that importance.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what's so cool about this is just like the Penguin has always been a B or a C tiered villain for Batman, like because the Penguin doesn't have any, aside from a couple of different comic book iterations, you have the Penguin. His superpower is making weird gadgets with his umbrellas, but like that's it. So for the most part, like he was always just a mob boss, and that's it. Like, but I really really enjoyed his character development and what they make him out to be. They make him out to be not dangerous physically, but dangerous psychologically. And just
Mm.
like the power that he has, like to just manipulate people to whatever he wants to do makes him a dangerous person. And you don't see that often. You mostly just see these villains with like crazy superpowers, and those are the ones that shine the most.
That is what made Riddler so good. Was the
Hmm.
psychology behind Riddler. And then
Hmm.
also the twist of the story. Because remember, Batman wasn't the traditional route of who we thought his mom and his father was.
Hmm.
They were bad guys. Oh my God, Matt Reeves is a genius. I love this man. The show is there's so many layers to it that I want to rewatch it again, just like one big binge, because it feels like an extension of a movie.
Yeah.
It's just that good. And
Yeah.
it's like must watch TV, but when you sit there, it's like there's so many different layers to this. The kind of moving on, we also wanted to mention was the fact very important was the goal is to blame everything on Sophia, which when we get to that final scene, it's like, oh, that's how it connects. Because
So
I was
good.
waiting. I was and you see how well he plays with the audience. He
Mhm.
plays in our faces how we expect one thing, and he tells us this is not what you're going to get. But we're
Mhm.
so locked into the scene that we forgot what we literally just saw that says this is not going to happen. But the goal essentially is to sell Sophia out again. And this is when my heart just broke because it's like, she can't win. She,
Yeah.
to me, tell me if I'm wrong. She's the actual hero of the story. Do you feel?
I wouldn't call her a hero. I
Everything that's done to her.
I still wouldn't call her a hero though, because she a hero
Anti-hero?
I guess an anti-hero, because I mean, and obviously this is up for debate, but like a hero is someone who does good despite of all the evil that's presented to them. And she has done evil for, against she's done the evil against the evil regardless. Like, yes, she killed mobsters. She's made the city safer again, with killing out these mobster families and this and that. But like, she still went about it the wrong way. I mean, she's traumatized her niece. She's killed people in Arkham when she was staying in there. Like, she's done a lot of wrong too. So like, I wouldn't go as far as call her a hero, but an anti-hero, sure.
But here's the thing. Everything that was evil, everything that she had to do in terms of the Koalition was because it had to happen. She had no control in Arkham. It was either you're gonna die or you have to kill them. So then would you rather just like, nah, and then die?
Yeah. Well, so one of the biggest themes in comic book history is you always have a choice. And those are the choices she made. Like, there are lots of, look, for example, like Batman. Batman is actually a perfect example because it's the perfect juxtaposition of the Joker. The Joker is exactly like Batman in every sense, from what they've been through, except for the choices they made. And in one iteration of the Joker, like something traumatic happened with the Joker, and he decided to make a choice and be bad, and he became the Joker. The Batman, something traumatic happened to his life, but he chose a different path. So it's all about the choices that you make, and she just made the more evil choices.
She did not make the more evil choices. She did not purposely go out there to murder someone.
But she still did it. No, she didn't do it on purpose, but she still did it. And she continued to do it.
No, here's the thing. That's different, because with Oz, there was literally no reason for him to kill his brother aside from, oh my God, they take up too much of my mother's time. I want attention too. She killed her family because they tried to kill her. They silenced her. They put her in Arkham where they thought she was going to die. All because, though she realized that her father was a serial killer.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. You say that. So if that was the case, there's let's ignore everything she's done up until the point where she has that family dinner. She had the choice to leave and forget everything and to start over new and have a new life, but she decided against it and kill the entire family. So that choice right there shows how evil of a person she can be. She made that choice.
Or maybe you locked in your fate the second you decide to sell that girl out for 10 years. That is your fate. You can argue.
I'm not saying they don't deserve it. They 100% deserve it. But what we're talking about is whether Sophia is a hero or not. And I'm saying she's not because of the choices that she's making. So I'm saying that even if I chose to ignore all the evil that she did before that family dinner as a reactionary choice for what she's been through, she had a choice at that moment to start over her entire life and say, screw this family, screw the business, screw all this dangerous stuff and all the evil that they do. But she still chose to kill them and continue the business as a gigante and just destroy everything again. Like, just kill people and destroy things and continue the business just in her way with Salvatore. Like, she chose this afterwards. So she's just as evil as everyone else after the fact.
She united families and gave people jobs. Okay, that child is better off.
Bad jobs.
Black jobs. And Hispanic jobs.
Oh, geez.
An Asian job. You are fuzzy.
And Cameron don't
but
like
you
it.
See, you're still fuzzy. You're fuzzy. But see, she gave them jobs and she saved women who were on the street, and she made sure they took care of her and she took care of them, and it was a good bond. And she didn't kill that lady whose name I forgot, but was Oz's girlfriend.
The prostitute lady. I forgot
the prostitute name. And who ends up coming back at the end.
Oh, we got to talk about that too.
Oh yeah. But you see what I mean? She is more of a hero who just, she's Batman. Batman. We got Batman.
You're confusing two
Time.
very different vigilantes. They're both vigilantes, but Batman still doesn't kill. He doesn't destroy city. Oh shit! Let me backtrack on that. I was gonna say he doesn't destroy city property, but
He
he
does
does destroy
kill.
city. He does. Well, Ben Affleck's version kills.
But the point is, Batman kills. He kills you with your broken bones. You know, you jaywalk and your leg is missing by the time he's done with you. So he still kills you. But no, it's very simple. I feel that she is a hero because everything that she did was a reaction to how people treated her. And I feel that if Penguin had, and again, this goes with the cowardness of Penguin, and you can argue he's not a coward at the end. Yes, maybe at the end he's not a coward, but he was a coward from the beginning until later he transforms into an evil piece of poop. He was always an evil piece of poop. But the thing is, she enacted revenge. If he had balls and was like, this is wrong, even if he tried to even visit her one time in prison, then I think she would have not had an issue with him. But instead, he stayed silent. He was a chicken butt. He had no spine, no nothing. And therefore, her thing was, I'm going to get revenge on everybody who knew, who allowed them to soil my name. My life is completely ruined. Psychologically, I'm screwed up. And she did the payback. But what happens to her at the end? She gets back at Arkham. That is, but until we get to that ending,
I think that's punishment. That's punishment for her too, for the choices that she make. I mean, I was just gonna
she
say
made no evil choices. She got back at the people who hurt her, and she didn't kill anyone who was innocent. She didn't kill the mom. She didn't kill the niece.
That doesn't make her a hero. Look at the Punisher.
It makes her a hero.
The Punisher kills nothing but bad people, but nobody calls the Punisher a hero. They call him an anti-hero.
Fine, anti-hero. Okay, she's an anti.
Agree to disagree, because to me,
we will agree to disagree.
There are absolutely no heroes in this entire series.
We will settle at anti-hero because she's the anti-hero to me in my heart and in my soul, which is why in the end they're gonna come and get her and they're gonna stomp Penguin to death. They're gonna kill him. Okay, so yeah, so they basically frame at her for everything from the brother to Salvatore, even though he had a heart attack, to the whole family, which he did do. But to me, I felt in this moment when we see her again, because we have to see her again, she's too delicious. This is when I think she becomes Hangman. Because remember, the whole thing was, I'm going to pretend to be something or someone that I'm not, because that's how you labeled me as. And this is when I think we actually see her as like full-blown Hangman, either in part 2 or I want another season. I'm good with her getting her own show. Do you feel that there's more to her story?
No. No, because I think at this point, we've gone through her journey, and it was an amazing journey. But I think we've gone through her journey already, and I think now the only motivation and only, I guess, like hook to her character is just she wants revenge. She wants to get the Penguin, and it's justified, of course. But like, I feel like that's all we're gonna see in either a season 2 of the Penguin, or we're gonna see her briefly, I'm sure, with Batman Part 2, and they'll probably mention, she's probably gonna rat out. I bet you something along the lines of like, Batman goes to Arkham and visits another criminal, and it ends up being Sophia because he needs information, and she's gonna rat out the Penguin because she wants the Penguin dead, or captured or something like that, something along those lines. I'm just throwing ideas out there, but like, I don't think there's much to her anymore, and it's not because I don't want to see her. I want more of her. I think she's amazing, but I just don't see much else because everything important about her character has already happened through this whole series.
Okay, I have a question, but then I'll hold it because then we'll get back to it, because I was like, But that letter. So then we also have with the quid pro quo, we have the whole, Bella, who is the mayor. She's the black lady who we saw,
Yeah.
who was talking on the stairs. She is the mayor, which again, security wise, penguin just walking in and out of courtrooms, but whatever. Um, she's opening an investigation of all the associates,
Mhm.
and therefore, he has to keep his nose clean, his little beak clean, so that nothing is suspicious on his part. So maybe by the time that we get to Batman 2, he's pretending to be clean. And it requires a
Yeah.
further investigation of everything, which is why
Yeah.
we get the Batman. Now. So this is when we get the whole big plot twist where I was screaming. Where basically the gang comes, they pick up Oz right out of the courtroom with the gun and everything. I was like, oh, this is brazen, but it does happen in New York City. They will run up on you with a gun in the middle of the courthouse in front of all the police officers. We do see that Sophia. Now, this is what we don't pay attention to words. We got to pay attention to words. Sophia is packing to leave. And what I thought was, instead, she is taking all of the possessions that she has and she is lighting them on fire
Mhm.
along with the house. So you see, you get the estate, but it's not in the state
It's not in the
that you
state that
originally
it's gonna
told.
be in. Yeah.
But you get that estate. I stated that estate.
You're gonna have to
So
build it from the ground up like her family did.
I love that because it was like an FU too,
Yeah.
as well. And then I love that. So the house is burning to the ground. We end up with another double cross where basically it's like we have him. Okay, meet me at hangar number 5, terminal XD, whatever it was. And that's when they're in the car, everyone comes out and you're like, oh, this is it, you know.
Mhm.
And then you get the signal and it's Victor and Oz was working together and they take out the minions and everyone's like dead and Jeff Sophia there. How did you feel in that moment? Because I was like confused for a second.
Well, we mentioned it before. Like I kind of just thought of it as another moment where Oz put himself in a situation that he luckily gets out of, which
Mm-hmm,
again, in a sense, he kind of did,
mm-hmm.
because it was actually planned, and Link killed his boss, and it kind of shows. I know they also do flashback of the other lower level thugs killing off their bosses now, so that way
Yeah.
there's is practically all of Gotham is fresh when it comes to like the mob leadership. So anything can happen now at this point. So I really like that part. But like afterwards, I love the look of Sophia's face of shock. Like she had this face of like, you motherfucker, you did this again. Like you how do you keep doing this? Like she had this face of just absolute shock that she lost. This was finally like her losing moment. And she had a face of just confusion and disgust and surprise and just everything.
Yeah, she was so disgusted. I was feeling that disgust too. That was just a mess. But I do like the fact that now we have it to play because remember, this is a continuous story. As what you said, everything is now fresh and new. The underworld is rising.
Yeah.
And there's a change of the guard all at once. And so that was, I loved how they did that. This felt very Godfathery. Remember that church scene with like the Hominototama and then everyone's like being murdered in different scenes? That was
Mhm.
brilliant. I absolutely did love that. And then that kind of, what you said is, he says, Oswald called man of the people, if that's what you need to believe, because he's not. He's just using and manipulating, and it's all a facade, and she can see right through that. And I truly love that. And she said, you're going to hell. I'll save you a seat. And that's when we essentially like, oh, she's gonna die. And
Mhm.
that's when I forgot mentally the previous scene that we had with the councilman.
Yeah.
Because and I was like literally watching like this because I'm like, I don't want to see her go and I don't want to see the blood because it's gonna just go right through her head and it's gonna be nasty. And I'm like, why is this scene taking so long to get to the point? And I'm like, this is a long time to wait for a bullet to come. Is it like in slow motion? And then I kind of realized that like I was really like confused. I'm like, why are there helicopters going? What's that siren? And then I realized the plot twist, and it felt even worse than just killing her off. It was like, oh my God, here we go again. So what were your thoughts of again?
So I had two predictions as I was while that scene was going on. One was it was just being very dramatic and long drawn, and then eventually, like, let's say, like, the screen goes black and then you hear a gunshot, and then that's all she wrote, and that's it.
Mhm.
But that was one idea that I was thinking, like they were just being dramatic over it. Or the second idea was, so to backtrack a little bit, when we talked about the last episode, Twitter was crazy because, as Twitter usually is, but a lot of people were like, this makes no sense. There's all this stuff going on in Gotham, and Batman is nowhere to be seen. Where the hell is Batman? Batman needs to show up. Like, a whole freaking city block just blew up, and Batman's not around to stop anybody. Like, Batman needs to show up in this episode. It makes no sense. And I was just like, dude, like, this show, like, and I responded to some people. I was like, this show is amazing without Batman. I could understand if Batman is out in the background doing stuff or even investigating what's going on, but he does not need to be on this show. This show is so good without him. Like, to put him on in the last episode is to dilute everything that the writers have established and the actors have established on the show. So sadly, my second thing was Batman was going to come in to save the day and save Sophia and put her in jail. So I really thought Batman was going to show up at the end. Luckily, that didn't happen. So I was glad and shocked up with how it did end. Like, I was like, oh shit, like, he did something worse than death to her. He put her back in the place that made her what she was, and the place that she hates so much.
Yeah, no, it was really interesting. Not once in any of this show was I ever thinking about Batman. I just was like, here's the thing with me. New York City, you've lived here, is so big. One man can only do so much.
Exactly.
You have millions and millions of people where there's petty crime and big crime every single day. He may be stuck in Manhattan at the moment, or maybe he's in Queens doing things with Alfred, but he can't be 15,000 places
He's
all
probably
at
just
once.
getting a bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll,
Basically, and remember, it was only 2 years that he did Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still in year 2.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't like a time jump of year 55 where he's gotten the hang of everything and he's built up like a network to make sure that, things are popping off.
Mm-hmm.
Still year 2. And I didn't need him. I didn't think about him at all until the show made me think about him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, there's going to be crime regardless or irregardless of a Batman.
I don't think irregardless is a word. I think that's just the word that people use. I mean, it means the same. It means the same thing, but I don't think irregardless is a word, is an actual word.
There you go. I got a degree for nothing. Thousands of dollars. I'm gonna still say irregardless because I spent thousands.
It's like there's one word that irks me the most is when people are talking about conversating with each other. Conversating is not a word. You say conversing with each other. It's conversing.
You're not the culture because I'm gonna conversate with you for a second, okay? We say conversate even though we know that it's conversing. We say ignorant even though we know that it's ignorant.
But that
was all right.
Yeah. Okay.
You understand what I conversated to you?
No.
You got the word?
Converse maybe.
Conversated.
Conversated. I understood the conversated word.
Yeah. Okay. So,
is that right?
So then we get to like the saddest. The show is so damn sad. Mama's in the bed alone in that stinking dull house. That I guess is like a mini mansion.
It's a penthouse.
She got the house.
Yeah.
But in a way, you said that. You just triggered me. Do you think that she got everything that she asked for?
Yeah. You just never thought you'd be in bed and can't do anything about it, but she got what she asked for. She got everything she wanted and
This
everything
is
that
why
he
we have to be
promised.
very careful. This is why I grew up with Wishmaster. Remember the movie Wishmaster?
I remember that. Yeah. Be
You
careful
have
what
to
you wish
be
for.
very careful with your words and how you word your words, because you're going to end up like that mama with the house that she wanted, but now she's a vegetable.
Hmm.
And I would love to know what's going on in that mind, because she's still there. She's just not here,
Well,
science wise.
you see right there at the end when he's talking to her in that room by herself, and there's construction going
Mm-hmm.
on, so it really is just an empty room. She's crying, like she's a
Mm-hmm.
vegetable, but you still see that tear, and like she's like trying to cry. She's in a prison right now.
She's trapped that way forever. Oh my God, this show is amazing. It's sad. But yeah, so, the poor mother. And then that's when, he kept saying, tell me you're proud of me. You
Hmm.
know, tell me that, this is what you wanted. And then we kind of have that conversation with Vic, and then it just gets sadder from there. So what are your thoughts on that whole bonding? And that's when I kind of realized Vic's family also drowned, technically.
Hmm.
I don't know how it would go, because remember, that's when the wave hit the building. That's how they went. The buildings collapsed. Remember, it was during that flood?
Hmm.
So maybe it's not actual drowning, but it was water that caused their death, which is water which caused the two brothers' death. It's
Hmm.
the penguin, because he's a water bird. Damn, she's so sad. So, what were your thoughts?
Um, I mean, we touched about it before. It was emotional. How I told you I felt
Hmm.
like the whole Spider-Man, the
Yeah.
Tom Holland Spider-Man thing with the snap, like that's kind of like that moment that I felt like. But aside from that, I felt like this solidified Penguin as a very evil person. Like we I think we've talked about this throughout the entire time when we made these other episodes, was that we want to root for Penguin, even though Penguin's a bad guy, because Penguin's just cool, and we kind of feel bad for him, especially with everything he's been through. But at the end, like this solidifies like the Penguin really doesn't care about anyone, including his own mother. Because I don't know if you caught this, but remember the episode his mom said, if I'm ever in a state where I can't function anymore, you need to kill me.
That's
And
right.
he didn't
And he
do
said
that.
no.
He has her locked up as a vegetable because all he cares about is himself. So he
Oh,
doesn't care about his mom. So
I
this
forgot
makes him
all about
even
that.
more evil.
Oh, and that was like even because she was begging, and she was like, "Look
Hmm.
at my dad. Oh my God, I hate Penguin. This man is a demon. He is a complete demon." Because I completely forgot about that. That they were both crying, and
Hmm.
she begged him.
Hmm.
She said, "Please," and she kept saying, "Let me go, let me go, let me
And he said
go."
yes.
And he said yes, but he's always a stinking liar
Hmm.
and a manipulator. So he gave her the answer of what she wanted, even though it's not what he was going to. He just lies. Even the whole finger thing. Oh,
Hmm.
see, cut off her finger, make her a vegetable, all because he still needs her. He still needs that approval. And then that's when we get that whole jab with an interesting transformation. She's now in a ball gown, you know, and he's basically, dancing with her. And then she transforms into the prostitute lady whose name I cannot remember respectfully.
Yeah, I can't remember her name, but
Well, what did you think of that scene? Because she comes
it,
back.
it was a bit
Linda.
disturbing. It was weird because we know that she's a prostitute, or at least like a protector of the prostitutes, so she still kind of has her hand in all that stuff. So it was just kind of strange because it was like that Norman Bates kind of feeling,
Mhm.
along with like this Oedipus complex kind of feeling, because she's a woman of sex. She's a woman of pleasure. So for her to have to act like his mom was really weird. Um, so she was just doing what he wanted. I'm sure he's probably paying her or whatever it might be, or maybe she feels like she's gonna be protected now by the penguin, or I don't know, who knows. But I was honestly waiting as they were dancing and he was telling her what to say to him, like, tell me you're proud of me. Tell me I'm the king of Gotham now. Tell me I made it, all this stuff. And she's repeating it. And she's saying, I love you. I was waiting for Penguin to kill her because remember,
I was ready for a kiss.
you were waiting for what?
A kiss.
Yeah, I guess. But I was waiting for him to kill her because I thought that he knew that she had ratted him out. Remember, she ratted him out to Sophia like an episode or two ago. So I thought he was gonna know about it and kind of like another attachment. Bang, like you're dead too, because I don't need any more attachments. But he still kept her.
That's interesting that you saw it that way. I saw it as a fantasy. She never existed. Just like the
Uh-huh.
mother getting up and dancing. That never
Mm-hmm.
happened. So I viewed it as that's how he always wanted women to treat him. Because you go
Mm-hmm.
back to that conversation that they had between the mother and the lady. No, between Sophia and the prostitute. Remember, she said, I can never be myself when I'm around him.
One of
He
around her.
doesn't like it. I have to
Mm-hmm.
dress up. I have to act a certain way. So I'm pretty sure that it's, you're the man. You're amazing. You did good. You showed them.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a way, I think that's how he treats all women, even though we didn't really get to see much female interaction aside from his mother and the prostitute.
Yeah.
He wants that, you're a big, strong man. You
Mm-hmm.
did it. And he's never able to get it. So he had to buy it from her. And the mother, she did it because it's something that she also wanted, which remember, she always hated him, but she wanted that better life and she wanted to manipulate him into doing that for her. So therefore, that's why it was like, I believe in you, you're strong. And it just felt like a fantasy to me, and that everything for him came true. He
Yeah.
wasn't able to get that conversation in person because remember when she was at the bed and he put her arm, he put the hand on the head, and he was like this, and he was like, "Tell me I did good, ma. Tell me I did good." And that he's still in a way thinking about himself when she is not even there mentally anymore. It's
Mm-hmm.
still about him. So in that fantasy, he kept her alive. He kept her a vegetable so that he can always say, hear that thing of, you did good. You did great. Oh, he's terrible. He's just the nastiest, dirtiest kind of villain. He's not even like, I killed your kid. Boom, boom, boom. That's just it. He's
Mm-hmm.
just sick. Oh my God. He's just gross. So this podcast, moving on from there, this is when we get the whole big other gasping moment. Julian's back in the hospital, even though he quit. Yay, Julian.
Good.
So
What?
Julian's back.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah.
Remember, he was like, I want to be with you.
With the
I don't want to
letters.
work
Yeah.
there anymore.
Yeah.
And we was like, oh, it's Harley Quinn. And then that's when he was like, oh, we have some letters. And she's like, sitting up in the corner, like, I don't want to hear nothing anymore. Just leave me alone. My life is over. And he's like, you have some letters. These are all normal, your crazy fans, people cursing you out, people who want to love you and with the match proposal. And he was like, oh, here's this letter from Selena Kyle, your half sister.
I completely forgot she was related to Falcone.
I forget that happened. And we don't know what the letter is, but she gets hopeful. There's hope in her eyes. So, thoughts on that letter?
It's probably just something like, I'm gonna break you out soon. And that's pretty much the gist of it. Like I think she's gonna Selena Kyle. I mean, this is kind of why I know I'm exaggerating or minimizing, I guess you could say. But it kind of sets up for maybe, I guess, Batman Part 2. We are going to see more Selena Kyle, and we're going to see more Sophia. So maybe Selena comes back to Gotham and tries to reconcile some family, because now that her dad's dead and everybody else is dead, she has some motivation to like try to. I mean, actually, now that I mention it, because I did say like there's not much else for Sophia, because everything that's happened to her happened in this show, and there's not much character development left. I'm wrong, because now you have Selena Kyle, and we have some development with that. You know, these half sisters that can possibly start a new family and stuff, and yeah, this is pretty good actually. So maybe she's gonna break her out or something, or maybe we're just gonna get a nice scene with Selena Kyle visiting and talking to Sophia for a bit.
I see in my brain, sorry, words are not words. My brain, that her, Batman, and so Sophia, Selena, and Batman could easily team up, because at the very end, at least I'm trying to remember because it's been a while. I think it was during COVID that movie dropped off, or maybe like right after it,
I think it was right after.
or like 21. I think it came out. I don't know, but point is this: at the end, it was Selena and Batman on their own respective, motorcycle bike things, going separate paths. So I do see that they're going to have to come back together. And one of the thing is, we do know that Selena and Batman have a relationship. And we do know that now that Selena and Sophia, there's half sisters, or always have been half sisters, that is a relationship there. And this maybe goes back to what I originally stated. Sophia's not the villain. Penguin is the villain. So I need them three. I need Batman and Selena, because Selena can break into anything. That's how she gets into Arkham. She breaks in, and, she teams up with Batman, and the three of them go and find Penguin and just stomp him to death, because he just has to die.
I don't think
Sophia.
I don't think Sophia and Penguin are going to play that big of a role in the next Batman.
So you think that Sophia? Well, we do know that it is the continuing story of Penguin. Yes. They said that he's going to continue. So you don't see anything for Selena and Sophia?
No, I mean, I see a little bit. I don't think that's going to be. I don't think that's going to be the main story or a big part of the story. I think it's just going to be a small thing for Selena's character development in the movie. And I'm sure we're going to see Sophia and the Penguin, but I don't think they're going to have major roles. I think they're just going to be minor supporting roles for whatever the next villain is or the next plot is or whatever. They're going to keep things moving along, but and obviously keep the whole, this organic city, alive still in this movie. But I don't think they're going to have major roles.
Did you have any feeling when you saw the bat signal? Because this is like we finally got Batman. Technically,
I think my feeling was, oh, this is fan service. Like that's all I thought. Because again, I was just like, we don't need Batman in this show at all. So I feel like they were just like, here's your little tidbit of a reminder. This is a Batman show. Bam, right there, bat signal. And then that's it.
You know what it reminded me of? You know how we always, with every MCU movie, Avengers will continue in Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Thor will return in Batman or whatever.
Yeah.
It reminded me of, Batman, Penguin will return in Batman Part 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just kind of like that. I didn't feel that it was shining for any particular storyline, because Penguin is now the boss. Here comes Batman. I didn't feel that at all. I felt like more of just in terms of the city itself, because it goes back to the underworld is now rising. The underworld is rising to become the underworld. And we're getting these fresh characters that it's not like Mr. Freeze that, I've been doing this for 20 years. This is like Mr. Freeze in maybe year 1.
Yeah.
Or any other character, year 2. Or anyone could be like 6 months. Because it offers such a freshness to it. even though these are characters that we've seen for 20, maybe 50 years. I don't know how long DC
50,
Comics have been
yeah,
around,
50, 60 years. Yeah.
like 50, 60 years. But it still seems to me like it's presented refreshingly. So nothing really seems stale. Even if we get Mr. Freeze, and I'm like, I don't want Mr. Freeze because he's always been in everything. And that same
Mhm.
could be argued with I didn't want to Mr. Penguin because we were Penguin.
I mean, we've only
Penguin.
gotten Mr. Freeze once in a live action, and we already know how that ended
Ooh,
up. So I would love to get a new, more, or sorry, a new, less campy take on Batman, on excuse me, on Mr. Freeze. So I would love something a little bit more on the grounded side with this world, because I like the
true.
fantastical side, but if you're gonna stick with to a grounded thing, I would love to see an interesting take on Freeze.
I wanted Quarter Owls, but I don't think he's old enough to do Quarter Owls.
What
You
do you
think so?
mean?
Because
Batman?
Batman's only been doing this for
Oh,
2 years.
well, so I have a theory about that. I feel like they're gonna do Court of Owls in the third movie, because there's a couple of hints, and it's just minor stuff. It's like nitpicky things that you can see throughout part one that kind of hints at like a secret society type of thing going on in Gotham that nobody
What is
knows
that?
about, and a lot of people were like, okay, probably Court of Owls. And there's even some tidbits of things here and there that possibly even the second movie, it has to do with the villain Hush, which I think would be great. Hush is a cool villain, that hasn't been done yet at all. So I think that would be a cool take also. But me personally, I would love to see either Mr. Freeze. I would love to see Hush. I would love to see Court of Owls possibly in part three. I don't care about the Joker. I think Joker's been done enough. And people make the argument that, the last time we've truly seen a Joker was Jared Leto, but that was like 5 years ago or more. And I was just like, yeah, but that's still not the point. Like, we still get too much to Joker in the comics and in TV shows and in video games, and it's just we're Joker saturated. So like, I'm over it. I love the design of what's his name's
Barry Keoghan.
Barry Keoghan. I can never remember his last name, but I love his design, but I just don't care about the Joker right now. Leave the Joker out of it. We don't need it. Like, Court of Owls is an amazing storyline in the comics. A Hush is an amazing storyline in the comics. I personally, if you want to keep it grounded and you want to still keep the mobster theme going, do Black Mask. Black Mask is a good one also. Something Sionis, I can't remember his name. Roman Sionis. You could do Roman Sionis, which is Black Mask. Like, he can be an up and coming mobster boss that takes over Gotham, and then you can add the Penguin on there. Now the Penguin is fighting for mob territories with the Black Mask, so they kind of like, it writes
Mm.
itself.
That's kind of smart. That's kind of good. I like that. So, is there any final things or anything that I missed or you want to bring up that is this finale of the Penguin? It's no more. It's gone.
That's it. I love what they did with him. He's freaking evil, and I can't wait for Batman
Mhm.
2. I can't wait for more Penguin. I can't wait for more of what Matt Reeves can do with some other characters too.
Yeah, no, this has been absolutely amazing. And what James Gunn and Matt Reeves stated is that there will be more of these stories.
Mhm.
So this is not the end. It may be like the end once we get to part two. I don't even know if he'll be in part three or they decided him having his own journey off camera. But there will be more of these characters. They're building out the universe. James Gunn has a plan along with Matt Reeves, and as long as Matt Reeves is having fun and that it's good and everyone is satisfied, we look at the ratings. You're doing exceptional. Um, I'm happy. I would love to. I have no power here, but I swear to you, if I was like in charge of television and award shows, I would give Emmys to the mom, obviously Colin Farrell, Victor,
Yeah.
cinematography, lighting, sound, mixing, people who just write the credits, catering, janitorial services. I would give all of the Emmys to
the
everyone, and I hope that this
the bodysuit alone.
The body, the makeup
The
department.
makeup
You get an
department.
Oscar right there. The whole makeup situation. The fact that Colin Farrell just, didn't melt to death doing this is just a miracle in itself. And oh God, this is the best acting because even I can show anybody on the street, who is that? I don't know. And then, you know who Colin Farrell is? Yeah, that's him. No, it's not. That's just how superb it was.
Yeah.
He gave me, it's still in a way, he gave me Robert De Niro. This
Yeah.
was like a Robert De Niro performance to me.
Same.
But I absolutely, gosh, I love him. I hope he gets awards for this. And I hope this is the one that breaks the mold. Because we've had nominations for comic book movies or TV
Mhm.
shows. We had WandaVision that was nominated for an Emmy. We had I forgot. I think only one that really broke the mold was the first Joker, and then
Yes.
Heath Ledger.
Heath
Oh,
Ledger.
Jokers really broke the role. So throw a penguin in there. Give that an Emmy. Obviously
Mhm.
not an Oscar because it's not eligible. But I
Mhm.
hope that this breaks the mold and that this ends up getting Emmy nomination because I am sick and tired of these other shows. And it's like, yeah, you did a great job, but this is acting. This is writing. This is cinema. So yeah, that I guess will just that's the end of the whole shebang over here when it comes to the Penguins. Absolutely loved it. I never once doubted this at all because in Matt Reeves I trust. Did you have any I'm sorry, any doubts? I can't say doubtations because that's black.
Any doubts on him? No, I think he's an amazing director. I love a lot of his movies. If Matt Reeves is listening right now, please make another Cloverfield movie. I missed the original Cloverfield movie, like a sequel to that. But like I know you're busy with Batman, but I would love an actual Cloverfield sequel, found footage sequel.
See, so Sophia was John Goodman. They did what they had to do to survive. You see that?
Well, those are
Boom.
side movies, but that's another topic of discussion.
Such a good movie, Cloverfield. You almost you got me dizzy, but I loved it. It was
Yeah,
amazing. And he had nothing to do with Paradox, by the way, because that was
no.
trash. So that is it. That is officially it for the show. Everyone, tell us your thoughts. What did you think of this series? Do you want more from this Elseworld? It's called Elseworld because it's the else of the worlds, not to be confused with the other things that's going on that James Gunn is building. But yeah, if there's any other shows that you would like to see or characters that you would like to see in the show and upcoming spin-offs that we're going to get that we do know of for sure, let us know. Let us know your thoughts on this Penguin show and what you thought about that finale and how it just broke your heart because it broke mine. I didn't even know I had a heart and it's broken. So once again, I have been your host, Dana Abercrombie, and I am joined by Mr. Danny Martinez. And that has been a wrap on The Penguin.